example. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you choose to go forward? Just out of personal interest?
Because I was actually going to use that as an example too. Oh, this is why I chose this war. Because my dad was in it, so there's that connection.
How many tours did he do then?
One. He was gone for a year.
Okay.
Yeah. So that definitely was probably
that early on or later?
Early on,
Okay.
in Desert Shield and Desert Storm. So.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. All right. So generally, how did that half hour go for you?
I felt like it started off great and then quickly turned south. Of course, that's just because, again, like I said when I walked in, collaboration is so important. And what the students are doing for UOI and what I'm doing for literacy, they should be lining up, and they are for the most part. It's just what they're doing in the packet. I think the students, it hasn't been made clear to them what we're expecting from them, and that's what we just had the meeting about right after that, was to make everything clear, and especially for the students, because they started to get confused, and I saw that, especially when
What were they confused about?
the checklist and what's expected of them with the presentation.
Okay. We didn't get to that bit when I was there.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about that. Okay.
But there's still confusion with the citations, and I think with the website that I had wouldn't allow us to do APA, but it gave, from my understanding, okay, it does the MLP and it'll give you like a citation and idea of how it should look.
Okay.
And
why did you choose to use that?
That was the one given. I didn't put any thought.
Why did you use a citation tool, an online citation tool?
It was given, so I figured, that would be a great idea. The MLA format cheat sheet thing that was shared on a drive. So that's where my mistake of not being prepared, and that showed because of that. And I could tell just by as soon as I had them open the Chromebook, I was like, oh no.
Great. I'm glad that you noticed that. Okay. So let's explore that a little bit. Okay. I think there are two things here. One about what the students are experiencing when they're using a citation tool like that.
Okay.
And when they should be using a citation tool like that.
Okay.
And then the other bit comes down to you and how you're preparing. Okay, so let's first talk about you and how you're preparing. Okay. So, did you actually go and create stuff yourself? Did you play around with that citation manager before?
I did. I played around with it, and I was like, figured, okay, it's MLA. I know we don't do MLA. Let me try to click into the APA, and then that's when I was saying it goes through all these different places, but it'll create a citation for you to where you can take that information, and if you follow the APA that I handed to you, you should be able to switch things around.
Say that exact line to me again.
If you it'll give you a MLA formatted citation, and if you take that information and follow
So what have you just learned from that?
That was very confusing.
How many citation styles are you using? How many citation styles are you using to come up with a citation then? And how many?
Okay. How many styles? Two. Yeah. That's already one too many.
How many? Yes, exactly. So you're using your tool, and you have to go to your cheat sheet anyway. Now, the reason that we have an EasyBib reference manager, how ideally you use them, is when you're already very knowledgeable about the structure of those references. So basically the whole idea is to speed it up when you know what you're looking for, so that you whack it in, you check it, and you know that it's right. And if it's wrong, you know that it's wrong. So it's there to speed up time, not to produce it for you.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to be like. This is not to...
Yeah.
And I think that's where the students are like, okay.
Teaching a lesson without doing the lesson plan beforehand. You've got to know the basics and go through it in your head with your lesson plan, so that when you're actually doing it, you know what you're doing.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
the whole process of going through and checking and seeing, I need to follow this format, i.e. going to a cheat sheet, is the best way students can start to learn about those basic citations.
Oh, okay.
I never use online citing because they're too complex and because of what you're doing, particularly with some of these as they're learning, as you were finding out. Oh, but there's no author. Oh, but there's not this. Oh, but there's not that. Yeah? You need to know that stuff already and then use that to speed up your process.
Okay.
Yeah? Otherwise it's like,
yeah, I was like, oh my god,
you've
you're
got
wasting
NLA,
so much
and
time.
you've got APA here, and I'm thinking, oh god.
Yeah? Yep.
Okay, good. Now, yeah, that was a bit of a, but it's good that you know why. Okay? So, we make mistakes and we're learning from those. Let's go back, let's change it. What would you change up about it?
Like you just said, I wouldn't even use an online source. I didn't like that even from the beginning, but I was like, oh, hey, it'll help. But did it? No. Yeah. And that's where I would have liked this still do the group citations or the small groups to where, okay, now we understand the importance of citations, the importance of plagiarism, and giving credit to where credit's due. And then I gave them examples of the different sources. Now this time I would have liked to gone back and still worked with them to, okay, let's do one together, and then follow the APA.
That was going to be my second thing to take you
things.
back. So you said, okay, fine, let's open up your Chromebooks. Everyone's opening up the Chromebooks. And you say, okay, go ahead and do one, put one in. And it's like, So it's kind of like you're flying the plane and they're flying planes with you. They've got these devices in front of them, and I'm thinking, ooh. Yeah? Rule number one, you never give the kids the things to do until you've made very clear what you want them to be doing. That means that you do what first?
You do the citation
you
with
show
them.
them how to do it first. You demo it. You CCQ it. Then, once it's clear, then they get on and do it. Because otherwise, what happened when you said, okay, get on and do it?
And now that they're expecting, this is simple now. I can just continue to do this.
So then what happens?
Then they don't learn. They don't learn or get anything out of it.
What did you experience happening when you said, okay, go on and do it?
They were doing it incorrectly.
They're doing it incorrectly, or they're confused, so they
either don't do it. They either don't do it or find an easier way to do it.
Throwing questions and asking questions, wanting to clarify. Yeah, you've got some people sort of talking about it and trying to figure it out for themselves. Who are you spending time with? Who were you spending time with at that point when you said, okay, go off and do one? The most capable student in the class.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I was like, I was with Pink, and I'm like, that's the person that doesn't need it.
Be aware of that.
Okay.
Yeah, and if the most capable in the class isn't quite on board, that also gives you a really, really good indicator.
Okay.
Yeah, no, she wants to know everything to the T, so yeah, but be wary. Just because she calls on you, there were other people who would have needed your attention. There's also people who won't be calling you that probably need your attention more. Think about how you set up and manage that and what you're going to be expecting. Okay. So, for example, like our silent ones, we know who our little silent ones are. How do you make sure that you're catering to their learning needs? Because they're very tacit. They will not ask for help.
I would actually walk up to them. That's where, like, if Pink's calling me, that should be a red flag right there. Like, okay, I need to reteach. Yeah. I need to reteach
and think, okay, this isn't going wrong. How is it that I get back myself on track? How do I backtrack?
Okay.
Yeah, if you want to say, okay, fine, sorry, let's forget Easy Big. That confused you. My bad. Let's just use our cheat sheets.
Okay, I should have done that and known that right off the that instead of panicking. And that's what I did.
And this is what I'm going to ask you to be aware of. And we saw it happen in the beginning of the lesson as well. It's very easy for you to be led by the students.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. So either because you want to follow your lesson plan and follow through what that is, and you're seeing what's happening, but you're carrying on as opposed to responding to it.
Okay.
Yeah? So then you're trying to find your way out through the woods rather than, I'm not going to go in the woods, I'm going to go around them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? So being aware of like, is this where I want the lesson to be at the moment?
Okay.
What were you talking about right at the beginning of the lesson? When you were talking about, right at the beginning, they were recapping and you were saying something about the points, the 4 points.
Okay, so yesterday's activity, they were supposed to find use 3 sources, and the advanced students were supposed to find 2 from each one. So 2 videos, 2 pictures, and 2 book sources or web pages. And then the ELLs were at least 1 source from each.
Okay, so that was what a product was. In the beginning, you spent about 6 minutes talking about timelines.
Yeah. Okay.
What's that got to do with?
That has nothing to do.
Okay.
That's where the importance of the collaboration with other teachers.
So that's my second thing about being led by the students. The thing is, you have a really nice rapport with the students. Yeah, but it's quite easy to get off onto somewhere else. Yeah, and of course you want to honour their offerings and you want to recognise what they're talking about, or you're trying to elicit stuff for them and they're giving you something different. Yeah, so you do want to honour it and you do that really well. But you say, okay, yep, timelines is good, but that's not what I'm focusing on. Let me have something else. Yeah, so you can be respectful and then redirect. In the same way that when you see something is going, as we say in English, Pete-tong, wrong, that you'll say, okay, I'm looking at you guys, I see this isn't working, let's change it. Let's forget about that. Let's go back to basics, look at your cheat sheets. Yeah? Don't feel, that's a failure, that's wrong. It's just like, okay, I tried this didn't work. That's fine, that's good. Like the link, it just so happened that the citation that you put in at the end and you chose was the one you forgot to actually make the URL link on. That happens. That's great because you know what? You got a student telling you what it was that you admitted. So you now know that kid knows what to do. Yeah? So these incidental mistakes can turn into, that was my deliberate mistake. I was just waiting for you to find out, If things aren't working, be honest about it. Okay, this isn't working, let's change it up. Yeah, I thought this would help you. Sorry, it's only confused you more. I can see that now. Yeah, and that way you build a genuine relationship with those kids because they're old enough to be able to understand and deal with that. Yeah?
Yeah.
So, does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's have a look through some of the elements and then perhaps we'll go back to that collaboration idea right at the end. Okay? Valuing students, yeah? Oh, sorry, I need to talk about your lesson plan a bit at the end, but I guess that will come to collaboration too. Okay. So, valuing students, where would you have a look? Where would you place yourself on that?
Evaluating the students?
No, on evaluating. So, we're looking at learning differences here.
Okay.
Okay. So, when we're going and looking at sort of when I've been observing you sort of I kind of observe you with this lesson in mind and seeing how you've set up the lesson plan for it, as well as how you're delivering it, yeah? But also I think about generally what I know about you. And then when I go to the overall statements at the end, it will be more holistically seeing how you've grown and developed in those areas, yeah? So in terms of valuing students, where would you place yourself?
A 2, because of course I would want to do a 3, but I could see where some students didn't feel valued.
Okay.
Especially if there's chaos like that. If I'm focused on pink, had her hand up, and I was like, okay.
I went down and helped her because in the end I just thought I'd help speed things up.
Yeah.
That's fine. But also I wanted to see what her issue was, what she was looking for.
Okay.
Now, I'd give you a 3 on that one, because I think that in terms when we're looking at rapport, they know that you care about them. So we're looking about on that relationship level, I think, when I'm evaluating that, rather than just on that task level. Because that is about sort of delivering student learning needs as opposed to valuing students. You know, you're very respectful, you have, you know, really nice interactions with them. So I would say that's a 3. Okay. Differentiated instruction. How did you differentiate?
I had the idea of doing that, but that's what I think is difficult. It's like you want to talk to them as a whole group and all together, but I don't want, that's where I feel like that comes in, where like I feel bad if, oh, this person's getting special treatment, why aren't I getting that?
Okay.
And that's where...
So you differentiated the task itself in terms that they would have fewer references to work with.
Yes.
But think about what you're doing during the presentation and then what you can do afterwards in following up for student understanding.
Okay.
So when you've got your full plenary group like that and you're presenting to the entire group, so you're going to think, what are your learning supports? So if you go back to those WIDA things, you've got the WIDA handbook, and you look at those learning supports, obviously visuals are great, so that map was great. I come back again to saying, remember I left a little comment, what do these numbers mean? So you have a world map, and then you've got numbers. It was like, well, is that number of people killed? What is that? Yeah? That helps people like ELLs relate to it, but it's also good practice when you've got figures, and you're interpreting figures when we're thinking about maths, you know, measurement and data, and looking at those kinds of things, and graphics. You need a title. You need to establish what the context is for those figures. So having things like that. Again, on your second slide, there's a lot of text on there.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Now, normally in a presentation slide, that would be too much. If you were doing a poster or something, that would be fine. But in good practice, that's a huge amount of text. It was nice because you had multiple sources on that one slide, so it was like a condensed way of pulling from all of those sources, and I loved that.
That's probably next time I would separate those two.
But if you're keeping ELLs in mind, it would be again that perhaps I'd have something about the title is like, multiple sources, and then have the example. Or it might be, you know, your slide 2 is like using multiple sources on one slide.
Okay.
Or drawing from different sources and summarizing. And then you present an example of it. So keeping that visual, going. So they've got underpinned things, and then thinking about your slide design so that you're bolding keywords or doing other kinds of things. To support that. Even like using like animation, so that you know suddenly you can make your thing zip out and go back again. So again, it gets focused on that, and then you can have the steps detailed on another slide. So they've got that process to read and follow. So that would work for that. So in the presentation, there was no differentiation. It was a general. The other way is if you're going to do that general, then you need to go and follow up with them. So at that point, you would perhaps set some people on the task, and then you would call your guys into you, and you would follow up with CCQ questions. Again, by doing that demo, you get to find out who's capable of being let go to do their own stuff, or you could get a feedback from that. Okay, how capable do you feel? You know, 4 fingers, 3 fingers, 2 fingers, 1 finger. And then go and check on the ELLs. Because you're going to have your little silent ones that will say nothing. So you have to go to them. And then that allows you, when you're monitoring, to focus on the most needed students. So think about how you set that up. Now, those kinds of things need to be in your lesson plan.
I see.
So in my notes that I've given you, it's like I want you to write down what the students are doing and the expected responses or other kinds of things. So imagine you're writing a play. In your head. And that's exactly what I want. So it becomes quite detailed about what you're looking for. But then also then that allows you, while you're playing that in your head, this fantasy lesson in your head about contingency that might come up.
Okay. All right.
Yeah?
That's why I like you when I'm doing my lesson. I'm like, there seems like there's a lot missing.
Yeah. And it's a bit confusing, hence why I sent you some of those comments, because it's like, who are you writing the lesson for? You or them?
Okay.
Because I know you need to fulfill these teacher training objectives, but write the lesson as if you're going to just teaching the students.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
There's factors that you need to include, and that's why you get those prompts. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
But when you're writing that lesson, the lesson is for the students, not for you as a trainee teacher.
Okay.
Yeah? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So I know that you understand that. See, that's what I would say. I'm giving you 2. Is that where you put yourself? Yeah? Because you did look about that task, and you do know how to do that, but you're going to tweak that for groups. Okay. Students with learning differences or needs. You think you don't know anything about it, you're aware of it, but you're not doing it consistently.
Yes, yeah, I'm not doing it consistently.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
You're aware of it.
Because I'm like, that's so confusing. Like, how do you
need
work
to
that?
do it in there. It's like you can do it when you've got small groups.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? And you take people off, but when you come to the whole group, you need to put that bit in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay?
That's why I like how you said it. You can still do the whole big group and then a concept check. Well, okay, students that you know are capable to do the work, and then bring them in.
Yeah.
Then that.
And that's when you look at how you're differentiating. It's like what will the different groups be doing around that objective that you will. Okay. What are they going to do? What are you going to do to get them there?
Okay, because that was also the issue when I was doing grammar mini lessons before our modified stations, teaching the whole group where a lot of the students that are advanced students, they get it, they know this is